Or- Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Talking Shop. I'm your guy, Erik T. Jackson, and today we have a great episode. We'll be discussing loss all the way to love. And my guest today is a good friend of mine, and I know her story well. We've been friends for a long time, and it'll be very informing. Uh, Christina, how you doing, sweetie?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Like the outfit. So uh let's uh get started. Okay. So the first thing I wanted to ask you is uh your earliest memories of wanting to be a mom. Talk to me about that.
Oh, I think every little girl, wants to be a mom when she grows up.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't know exactly when it would have started, but um, but definitely that was always a dream of mine was to be a mom, like since
Okay.
I was a young girl.
Right.
Um,
So for me, uh I always wanted to be a dad because my dad was so rough. I wanted to be the dad that I always wanted. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
how was it growing up under your mom? I mean, did you want to be just like her, or did you want to be the mom that you wanted growing up, or how was that for you?
yeah, I would say I was in the same boat. I wanted to be the mom that I always wanted. My mother did a great job, but being raised by a single mother, you kind of see the struggles
Mm-hmm.
before you really see the progress, I should say.
Uh-huh.
Um, so you get to really see um a lot of downfalls, I think,
Okay.
with having one parent do two jobs
Yeah.
to the best of their
Absolutely.
ability.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. You respect the hell out of it, but you want something a little different, right?
mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll just add that I had two parents. My dad was great. But, as a kid growing up, you always think that you want something different or better. So
Yeah.
let's move on to this. How old were you when you had your first serious boyfriend?
So we started dating a few months after, well, before I turned 18, and then we got serious a few months after my 18th birthday, was my first real boyfriend.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I was a
And,
little bit late bloomer.
man, there's a lot of late bloomers out there that can relate. So, was he? Uh, did he emulate any man in your life, or was he a man that you thought would be the the type of man you wanted to be with, or was he?
Um, no, I would say he wasn't really nothing like the man. Especially in the beginning, he wasn't like the man that I've experienced or the man
Mhm.
in my life. He was completely opposite. And I
Okay,
think that's what got my attention.
okay,
Um, just with me waiting so long to actually date,
hmm,
it was the way he treated me, definitely was different than the way I've ever been treated
wow.
by a guy. He was very dependable, very observant, and very caring to me. So uh I think that would be the biggest things that stuck out.
So you got that on your first boyfriend. It usually takes us a while to get that type of person.
Well, I've been around guys,
Uh-huh.
but me being in the music industry at a young age, it was very hard for me to really find someone that I would trust just because I was exposed to a lot of things very early.
Okay.
So it was like I was more so scared of guys. You didn't
Okay.
really get too close to me, I didn't really
Mm.
allow that part. So, and I was very picky, and
Okay.
I'm observant.
Hmm.
So because I waited, I knew kind of like, okay, I'm gonna take my time and like make sure whoever the whoever that person is was my choice.
Yeah.
That was a big deal for me. So
Yeah. Whoever
yeah,
whoever the chosen one is, he's the right one for you.
yeah.
No, that's great. So so this is about uh loss and love. So let me ask you this. So and you can take your time, you can answer how you want to answer it, but hopefully we get, the real. So let me when you first got pregnant, was it planned or unplanned?
Technically all my pregnancies were unplanned. That first one was definitely uh super unplanned. I was young and learning.
Hmm.
Um, but they were definitely all unplanned.
Okay, so we're talking about the first one right now. We'll get to more because I want to build up to what's currently going on. So so we're talking about the first one. So how did you feel about it when you found out you were pregnant? I mean, were you happy? Did you want to keep it? Were you unsure?
I was more so confused.
Okay.
I would say because I was so young and me and my significant other, we were going through our ups and downs, and I
Mhm.
was also in college.
Okay.
So it was like just a kind of a, it was more shocking
Hmm.
than I think than anything. And then it took me a while to kind of grasp the concept
Oh,
um
grasp the
of
concept
like,
of
oh,
what?
you're pregnant,
Oh, okay.
of
Okay.
being actually pregnant. Like, I was going through the motions, still going to class. Like I was more so like pushing it out of my mind at the moment. Like I didn't really deal with it.
Because you had so much going
Um
on.
yeah, and I didn't really know how to deal with it.
Okay.
He was my first, so it was like I was still learning so much about me and my body that me being pregnant just kind of was like,
So did you tell
it
anyone
just was
else?
unreal. Um, I told him, he
Okay.
knew
Okay.
that I was pregnant,
Okay.
but no, I didn't tell anyone else at the time.
Okay. Okay. But this won't be the first time they're hearing about it, or will it?
Um, I didn't. You talking about my miscarriages
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
overall?
Yeah. About what we're talking about.
My family, I didn't tell them until recently.
Okay.
Uh, I kept it for many, many years.
Okay. I can understand that definitely, and that's why I have you on here so that maybe your story can help others that are going through the exact same thing. So, and we're still talking about the first one. So when the miscarriage happened, uh, so exactly how far along were you? I mean, and this,
For the first one,
yeah.
I was a few weeks, a little past, about 6, 7 weeks. Once I actually miscarried, because I found out pretty early with a test, and then, um, I got very sick, and then, I obviously knew something was wrong.
So,
Um,
so the sickness wasn't like your ordinary morning sickness.
um, Typically, I don't think at that moment I could identify
Okay.
like morning sickness. I was really young, so I didn't think of it. It was just like, oh, I'm pregnant, I'm sick.
Yep.
Um, like it started to take a toll, and then when the miscarriage happened, it was more so just uh me going through the motions, me waking up, uh, seeing the blood, and then knowing. I kind of was like, okay, I kind of know what this is.
Hmm.
And then me finally going straight to the hospital, be like, okay, yeah, you're having a miscarriage. So
So you did?
I
Did
didn't
you?
really have enough time to wrap my head around.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
And you didn't know until the nurses were telling you, or did you know, but they just confirmed it?
When you see the blood, you as a woman, um,
Okay.
something is not right.
Yeah.
So it was more like me going to the hospital. It was
Mhm.
more so me just still preparing.
Okay.
Like I knew it. Um, I was told pretty young
Mm-hmm.
that I would have trouble having kids.
Okay.
And then my mother was told she couldn't have kids and then she ended up with two. But I did know about, the
Yep.
struggles of pregnancy, but yeah,
Okay.
it was more of a confirming.
Okay. So that's my next question. Once you since you knew your mom had issues conceiving and then you had a miscarriage your first time out, uh what were your thoughts did your thoughts on pregnancy change at that point?
No, um, I just I'm also a God-fearing woman, so I just, was
Okay.
like, and when this time it'll happen, because I I did always listen to my mom with her, talking about, her being told that, and then, oh, excuse me, her getting pregnant with my sister, and then getting
Hmm.
pregnant with me.
Hmm.
That doctors are not always, right, and
Right.
how God has the final say.
Yep.
So it didn't deter me, but I also was like, it made me wake up about my surroundings and what I was doing to myself and,
Okay.
stress and just different things like that. But it
Yeah.
didn't deter me from being, from wanting kids.
Okay. Okay. uh so when did you get pregnant again?
Um, it was about maybe 2 years later.
Okay.
Uh, I got sick, got on antibiotics and had a slip up
Hmm.
and with the same person and we got pregnant again and then um I was further along with
Okay.
that one.
Okay.
Um, I kept saying it was a boy in my head because we were literally getting ready to find out.
Hmm.
But at that time, I also was, going through a lot, super stressed. And then right when I was really like, okay, I'm about to be a mom, like, you know, let's tell, my mom and let's, go through the whole process. We lost it again, and it was really similar. It was almost like deja vu almost
Hmm.
because the emotions that happened were the same, exact same from the first one.
Wow.
Like me getting up,
Yeah.
me seeing everything. It was just like, oh, then that's when I was like, oh, I'm doomed. Like this is not. That was the one that kind of deterred me from. Okay, I don't want to talk
Oh,
about
oh,
pregnancy or us getting pregnant,
okay.
and things like that.
Yeah. So that was the one that made you think that maybe you couldn't carry a child?
Not that I couldn't carry, it just made me back off for a while.
Hmm.
Like, it messed up my mind in a way that it was just like, I needed to wait. I needed time.
Okay.
Um, because as a woman, you start to get those emotions of, am I less than a woman?
Okay.
Can I carry?
Hmm.
All of those thoughts come. So it's like, in order to not give into those thoughts, I
Yeah.
knew I had to put us having kids on the back burner.
On the back burner. Yeah. Yeah. So me just knowing you for the 6 or 7 years that I've known you, you are very busy all the time, and not just with work, but all outside of work. So I can imagine you've always been that way, and you've been a go-getter, and so I can imagine just you being so busy and always so having things going on you know that you were that way at that point too, and maybe when you were young and trying and doing that, your body wasn't you know prepared to handle being pregnant and being busy and stressed at the same time. So was there another pregnancy?
Yeah, I had another one, but it was more so like we took a test, you thought we were pregnant, got to the doctor, and they were like, no, there's no heartbeat, there's no fetus. So it could have, either been a false pregnancy or atopical pregnancy is what they
Hmm.
call it.
Hmm.
Where I could have developed the baby, but it never fully got to the point to being a actual fetus.
Okay.
Um, it was gone before then. Well, they technically was gone before the 6 weeks is what it is.
Okay. But there was something there and there was a discharge to make it leave your body?
No, there was no discharge for that
Okay.
one.
Okay. Okay. So there was no thoughts of woe is me for that one.
I mean, it definitely was, but I was so at that time I was so wrapped up in life that I was able to not like become into that state. Like I just kept moving forward,
Hmm.
and because I didn't get a really a chance to be like, oh, I'm pregnant.
Hmm.
That's what kind of helped. It was just
Right.
like pregnant. No, it happened so fast that
Yeah.
it didn't really affect me as much as the other two.
Okay. Okay. So then fast forward uh to you getting married. So uh how far from the time you had the last miscarriage to the time you got married? How much time had went by?
No, my last miscarriage was from technically our wedding or honeymoon.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Okay. So 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 at that point, uh let me ask you this. So did any of the miscarriages cause any stress or I mean well not stress but any strife between you and your husband or your boyfriend? Were y'all beefing because of it at all? I know that
we
happens.
weren't beefing, but it definitely put a strain on our relationship.
Okay.
Um, Especially when we got engaged, he was heavy on the like, let's try to have kids, like let's
Hmm.
actually try and
Hmm.
and go through the process.
Hmm.
And I wasn't hearing it. I didn't even want to talk about it.
Hmm.
Um, it definitely was the root of some arguments.
Hmm.
I would say, because he wanted kids so bad, and I knew it. But and I remember our very last argument while we were engaged. I finally, because at first I wouldn't even really talk about it.
Okay.
I would kind of be like, whatever, whatever. And then finally I had to explain to him that mentally I wasn't ready to go through the process because every time you miscarry and the doctor tells you that,
Yeah.
it's like you take a piece of a woman,
Yeah.
so it was like I wasn't mentally able. I feel like I wasn't strong enough to be like, hey, if we go through this process and I lose again,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to mentally take it. Like, I'm going to have a nervous breakdown and like my confidence is already shot.
Right.
So, and I hadn't at that point gone through any therapy for it. I had blocked it out. I hadn't told my family. I hadn't even told my sister. So it was like I had no one to vent
You
to
had it.
even be like,
You took it all on your own shoulders.
yeah, and it was like I'm carrying this and
Yeah.
I don't want to. Then it was like I wasn't ready to even wrap my mind around bringing a child and then me being resentful to that child because of the children I lost.
Right.
So I was just like, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
And he respected that. We put it on the back burner,
Good.
um, and stuff like that. But definitely in our ups and downs, that kids have always been a part of the
Very
the
good.
discussion.
The discussion, absolutely. So I remember, and I don't know if this has anything to do with anything other than I remember reading on my mom on something. Was it a birth certificate or something? My mom had a miscarriage before my brother. She never told us. We never knew. I
Mhm.
don't even know if she know that I read it. And it said she was like 6 months when it happened.
Mm.
And do you know, I started crying. I might have been 10, 12, 14, somewhere in there. And that hurt me so bad. I broke down and started crying over my mom having a miscarriage, like so many years prior. That's just the type of emotions that those things carry, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you guys are married, and uh I know him. He's a good dude. And uh the next time you get pregnant, you don't tell anybody. Why?
I mean, we waited for health, obviously,
Okay.
health reasons.
Okay.
Um, we wanted to be sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you've got my track record,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to be the first to tell everyone.
Uh-huh.
So, we just wanted to wait to be sure.
Okay.
Um,
And so
it's one thing to go through a miscarriage,
right.
then everyone knows you're going through a miscarriage.
Yeah, absolutely. So at what point were you confident enough to share the news?
Um, oh wow, we waited months to tell everyone. It was more so us going to the doctor. Even when
Okay.
we found out that I was pregnant, we were at the ER.
Okay.
I had them run all type of tests because even for my second one, um I had been to the doctor prior to miscarrying, and we had already kind of knew, hey, I'm having, my hormones are off, and the pregnancy wasn't looking good. So with this one, I was like, before we get excited, like check all my levels, check all my hormone levels, check, the babies,
Right.
um, and then, closely monitor them. But we finally, I don't even know what it was. It was a few months after. Some people we had to tell immediately, like my mom.
Hmm.
We told her a few weeks after we found out because I got super sick,
Okay.
and you can only hide from mama for so long. And she's like, "What you mean you still
Before
sick?
she figure it out. Yeah.
What you got going on?" And then we have the businesses, so it was like with him stepping in and saying, "I'm gonna take over more." Christina's gonna take a step back. Obviously,
Mhm.
the questions start to be like, "Well, why?"
Yeah.
But it was definitely a few months. I don't think it was an actual turning point. Maybe after we hit about the third,
Hmm.
fourth month, it was like, okay, they're like, you're going strong, babies look great. And we're gonna have, like, I think it really took my primary and my OB really just being like, we're having these, like, you're okay. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Awesome. Awesome. That's what's up, man. I love hearing that. And you said these. So tell the audience how many babies you having.
I'm having two boys, twin
Having
boys.
twins. Having twins. God is good, man. God is blessed. He's a blessing. He
Yes,
blesses. Yeah. Uh, so you went from losing two babies to being blessed with two babies. You know, I
yes.
mean, it couldn't have come more full circle.
Yeah, that was
Mhm.
definitely a shocker when we found out.
Yeah, yeah. So, uh, your husband is a twin, so you knew there was a possibility, but to find out, and to not only find out there were twins, but twin boys. How did that feel?
That felt great because I wanted boys first. I mean, I love my girls, but I was like, I've always wanted a big brother. It's
Yeah,
something about having a big brother, that just makes you like feel better about life.
yeah,
So when I found there were two boys, I was like, okay, yeah, I got my boys first.
yeah.
Um, so I was super happy with that.
Good, good. So now, uh, when's the due date? Or
So I'm due February 2nd, but because they're twins, we're looking at a delivery Christmas, well, the week leading up to Christmas.
okay, okay. You want to say their names? Bless the podcast with their names.
Amir would be first.
Okay.
Amir Joseph, or Amir Daniel Joseph,
Uh-huh.
and then Amar would be second. Amar Andre Joseph.
Okay. Awesome. Two great names. Love those names. So, uh, I hope that this new pregnancy has sort of cleared your mind of some of those things that happened prior, and you're able to focus on the future, and maybe you know yeah, more more after these two. What do you
Oh
say?
yeah. Um I don't regret it, or I let me say I've came to terms
Hmm.
with it,
Hmm.
especially after telling my family.
Yeah.
But I know that had those things not happened, I wouldn't be the woman I am, and definitely wouldn't be the mother I know I'm going to be.
Absolutely.
It made me appreciate them
Hmm.
more.
Hmm.
And then just also appreciate motherhood entirely.
Yeah.
It is a lot of women who go through it and then don't talk about it.
Right.
Um,
Right.
you know, so it's like, we have to realize that everybody's path is different,
Yeah.
but just appreciating the small things. And I think I haven't I've thanked my mother more during this pregnancy than I've thanked her my whole life. Especially her telling me she was sick her whole pregnancy, and I've been sick, this whole pregnancy. But,
Yeah.
it's also like, when my kids do get here and the boys
Hmm.
get here and they're old enough to comprehend, I want to be able to tell them, you have, guardian angels,
Yeah.
guardian siblings, watching
Absolutely.
over you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and hopefully, they'll get the gist of what us as parents, what we had to go through to kind of get them here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They were born in a pandemic. That makes them tough.
Yeah, pandemic. I'm hearing pandemic babies is a different breed.
Absolutely. And I know just the way you handle the children that we work with and the kids there, that you're going to be an excellent mom. Have no doubt about that, about your character and your love for
Thank
kids,
you.
man. Yeah, absolutely. Christina, I appreciate you being on the podcast, blessing us with your story. Uh, I pray for you, wish nothing but the best. Uh, Thank you for being on here. You're my little sister. And, you know, I'll be there for you anytime you need me.
Of course.
All right.
Appreciate you having me.
Yes, ma'am. And I will talk to you soon.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Okay, bye.